I want us to get to project planning, so that after project planning, we can do our general presentations. And then when we are coming back next week, our project will be to develop a proposal, which is now the plan. Okay, develop a project plan, and then you present your project plan next weekend. Okay, hope that is right. So let me quickly run on this. Project governance. Whenever we talk about governance, we are talking about how or a structure that makes things work. The principles, the procedures, the rules, and the general framework that provides for compliance, for performance within an organization. Now, since we are considering a project, that would be the policies, the procedures, the guidelines on how the project should proceed. So let's quickly look at it. Now, by the end of this class or this section, we'll all be able to define the basic term that's principally defining what corporate governance is, and then, sorry, defining what project governance is, not corporate. Then developing a good governance structure, and then elaborating on the role of the project management office. By introduction, project governance is the management framework within which project decisions are developed. Now, I want you to put this down. By the end of this section, we say you should be able to develop a governance structure. Please, what we simply mean is that you have to develop a structure, a project structure that you can use to deliver to the project you just chose. Now, I will recommend that any project you've chosen, except for those that is too big, don't pick too big projects. Choose something very simple that you can easily work with as a group and come up easily with something. So by the end of the day, when you're developing your proposal, we are expecting you to see your project structure. All right, we're expecting to see your what? Your project structure, right? All right, so project governance is the management framework within which project decisions are made. Project governance is a critical element of any project, since the accountabilities and responsibilities associated with an organization's business as usual activities are laid down in the organizational governance arrangement. Seldom does an equivalent framework exist to govern the development of its capital investments. That's the project. For instance, the organization chart provides a good indication of who in the organization is responsible for any particular operational activity the organization conducts. But unless an organization has specifically developed a project governance policy, no such chart is likely to exist for project development activity. Therefore, the role of project governance is to provide a decision-making framework that is logical, robust, and repeatable to govern an organization's capital investment, which are projects. In this way, an organization will have a structured approach to conducting both its business as usual activities and its change of project or activities. Please, I recommend that except you have to speak, let our mics remain muted, please. Thank you. Project governance, by definition, refers to the framework, functions, and processes that guide project management activities in order to create a unique product, service, or results to meet organizational, strategic, and operational goals. Now, I want you to look at something there. It refers to, number one, the framework. The framework. Framework simply more of a fitting approach that can be used to deliver something, right? A model that can be used to deliver something, all right? Then functions talks about the responsibilities. In some lower level, we'll talk about the tasks involved. Then the processes talks about the group of related activities that need to be carried out to deliver certain results, all right? And at the end of the day, all of this is geared towards creating unique products or service or results to meet organizational strategic and operational goals. There is no one governance framework that is effective in all organizations. So governance framework is not a one-size-fits-all approach. You need to find the one that works for organization. Remember, last week we spoke about tailoring, ensuring that you have custom fit approaches to delivering your projects, all right? In the same vein, when ensuring corporate governance or project governance, ensure that you have the right tailor of project, the right tailored project governance framework for your project. A governance framework should be tailored to the organizational culture, types of project, and the needs of the organization in order to be effective. I just mentioned that right away. Now, we must understand that under project governance, we have the elements of management in it, or the management elements that in a way provides for the functions within the governance framework. So management elements are the components that comprise the key functions or principles of general management in the organization, of which we have the planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. The general management elements are located within the organization according to its governance framework and the organizational structure type selected. Now, in a typical governance framework, this is what we basically have. You have the project sponsor, like you have the stakeholders in the project on one side. Then you have their roles in the governance framework. So now from the governance, you have the major assignment as assessing and designing, modeling and implementing, monitoring and optimizing. Then you have direction setting or vision setting. Then you have the project oversight. So these are the major things that are comprised or compressed in project governance. The project governance should be able to provide leadership, providing direction, vision, purpose, and objective for the project. The project governance on the business level should also be able to assess if the business case, if the objectives, if the vision developed are good enough to meet up with the business objectives, either at strategic levels, organizational levels, or operational levels. Remember that. Okay, then after that, they should be able to design, and then they should be able to have a model that should deliver to the vision, the objectives, the goals that have been developed from top level management, right? And then they should be able to implement. They should also be able to monitor and optimize resources. And there should also be room for project oversight that's providing general management coordination and supervisory administration. Okay, so this is what the governance structure looks like. There should be direction setting, or let's say there should be leadership, good leadership. Now, of course, when we talk about good leadership, we'll talk about vision, mission, objectives, strategy, security, providing the working conditions to keep people working, a healthy working environment, creating better relationships, encouraging better employer-employee relationship, or project manager, project team relationship, or stakeholder relationship, whichever relationship we want to talk about. All right. Then you now come down to designs, assessments and designs, modelings and executions, optimizing and monitoring of activities, optimizing resources, and then monitoring of activities. And then at the end of the day, there should be general oversight rules, okay, by as provided by the project framework. We will now know who will be responsible for what. It is this general framework that will now provide us access to developing organizational structure. Please note, governance framework is not the same as organizational structure. No, rather, the governance framework provides us the basis for developing organizational structure, developing project structures, developing cultures, developing styles of leadership, developing execution approaches and all of that, developing policies, procedures, processes, and all of that. So the governance structure is the complete mapping of the approach that the organization will use in delivering services, in delivering products, in delivering goods, in delivering deliverables of the project. Now, oh my God, as I'm speaking this thing now, it's like I'm talking to myself. So let me be sure I'm not talking to myself. Do you understand what this whole project governance is all about? Please feel free. If you understand it very well and you think it's clear enough, type 1 in the chat room, because this one now is like I'm doing big PhD work here. Okay. Now, if you don't understand it, just type 00 and let's explain it well enough. Okay. Even me that is talking now, I'm feeling that not everybody's understanding me, but I want everyone to understand me so that it will be easy for us to apply. Okay. All right. So if you understand this governance framework, as it were, type 11. If you don't understand it, type 00 so that we can go ahead explaining it. Okay. So since I have two people who doesn't really understand it, shall we quickly again re-explain it so that we can understand it, and then we can be able to apply it in our projects, right? Okay, so let's go back to the definition of governance, project governance. We said the project governance provide, number one, a framework. It helps us decide on what the functions will be. That's the roles and responsibilities within the project. And then it also helps us decide on the processes involved in the project. So if we can clearly identify, we know that primarily the project governance provide us with basis for deciding the kind of leadership within the project, the kind of processes the project will undertake, the kind of policies that the project will undertake, the kind of culture we should adopt, the kind of leadership style we should adopt. Now, the governance structure on its own is not an organizational structure. All right. Rather, the governance framework helps us to know which kind of organizational structure to develop or to buy into. It helps us know which kind of leadership we should buy into. It helps us know which kind of processes and procedures we should buy into, which kind of functions we should develop for our project. So inevitably, on its own, is like a decision-making tool in the hand of the project management team. Please note, it is not in the hand of the project team, it is in the hand of project management team. Did you get what I'm saying? Now, the whole composition of the project management framework is that there should be leadership provision. Now, in the leadership provision, you're a sort of providing standard for leadership. So in the standard of leadership, you are explaining in the framework what the standard of leadership should be. The leadership should provide vision. You can go ahead and tell them in the framework what kind of vision is expected. Is it a sustainable vision? Is it a short-term vision? Is it a long-term vision? You could go ahead expounding to them the kind of impact you want this project to have. So the leadership, we have to sit down and say, based on the instructions we've received, or based on the guidelines that have been given to us, we are to work on developing a vision in this direction, developing products in this direction, developing mentorship and following up with customers in this direction. That's what that means, leadership. And then the security of the staff, the security of the people involved in the project. If that needs to be part of the standard, the health and safety, then establish it in the standard under the leadership domain. Okay. If you want to talk about maybe relationship building, you can talk about that also under the leadership domain. Okay. Okay. Someone is asking me, what kind of leadership am I talking about? Okay, now here, the leadership I'm talking about here is the leadership that will ensure that the project is delivered, the goals of the project are delivered. Now, let me take, for instance, under the leadership, we can now have what we call the corporate structure or the project structure. The project structure simply defines the roles and the responsibilities, who we are reporting to, who is reporting to us. So the responsibilities and the accountabilities, that's leadership for you. But before we come to the point of developing structure as part of the leadership requirement to lead the project team, we must have first of all developed the vision, the mission, the objectives of the project, and what have you. Okay. Now, coming down, we have that part of the component of the framework too is to assess the objectives, assess, evaluate the business case. Is it justifiable enough? If it is justifiable, we should have standards to evaluate the business case. We should have standards for designing the project. We should have standards for developing models, standards for implementing the project. Then we have standards for monitoring. At what level I would say this monitoring report is acceptable or is not acceptable. Okay, what are the basic terms that we will use to define what an effective report is? And then how do we come about optimizing resources? If you leave people, I don't know how many of us watched the plenary session, the last House of Rep plenary session on the 31st of March, right? If you watch that plenary session, it will do you good in what I'm trying to explain. Now, this plenary session was extensively talking about security. They had to have a review of what the whole security situation is like in Nigeria. Now, what brought up that review was the case of Kaduna State, the explosion of the train track and the rail track rather, and then the invasion of the international airport, same at Kaduna State, and then the next day, the same bandits, or whatever they call them, they had to block the Abuja-Kaduna road. So the question that we are being raised, one of the members, federal members from one of the constituencies in Maiduguri was asking some crucial questions. And one of the questions he asked was, in 2020, they were calling billions upon billions. I may not really get all the figures, but you can go to Facebook or go to nasng.org or .com, one of them. You go view the plenary session. Now, at the end of the day, there were some things they began to come up with. One of the House members from Jos made a recommendation. He said, instead of giving out this complete money to the Nigerian army, because they were using army as a case study, giving them hundreds of billions on yearly basis without having any tangible result, that it is better let the money be disbursed to them according to the quantifiable evidence of results gotten. So if you say you're procuring 900,000 ammunitions and you want to use it to fight bandits in local government, we should be able to see that, number one, yes, you procured it. Number two, you fought the bandits. Number three, we saw the bandits either dead or alive. There should be verifiable results. And then we'll give you some weeks and months to checkmate. If we get any other report from there, you have to come and tell us how many bandits are remaining. Go and finish them before we give you for another operation. And I think that was wonderful. Now, what have they done? They only developed a governance framework to monitor and optimize the resources and the activities of Nigerian Army. Have they told Nigerian Army what to do? No. Have they told National Ministry of Budget what to do? No, but they have provided a framework for the release of funds. Okay, I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say now. And then at the end of the day, there should be general oversight rules. Now, if I should use Nigeria again as a case study, in this case, the people responsible, or people we could refer to as the project management office, not project management office, the people responsible for developing standards for governance. We have the House of Rep and we have the House of Senate. Okay. Now, these two people will have to develop standards. Why the Senate might be providing the oversight roles to ensuring that these standards are met, the House of Rep is responsible for developing these standards that will ensure that the project executioners, the people who are going to be executing this project across different agencies, different ministries, they follow the standards, okay, in carrying out the project. Now, this what I said now, does it make any sense to anybody? Did you understand anything at all? Now, before you say anything, remember I said, it is the responsibility of top governance, whether they want to outsource it to a consultant who will develop this framework for them, or they are to sit down and develop this framework, but it is top management responsibility to develop the framework for governance. Okay, all right. Now, do I have any question, if there's something you did not still understand, feel free to ask me. Please, Mr. Eneje, your microphone is on. Are you asking a question, or that was, okay. Any question, any question, any question? Is it clear? If it is not clear, let me know. Maybe we could have a private chat to this, or have a private class. Okay. The framework basically is a baseline to help us take decisions on leadership of the project, on assessing and designing the project, the modeling and implementing the project, monitoring project activities and optimizing, and then providing standards for also supervising oversight rules to the project. Any question for me? Can I proceed? Can I proceed? If I can proceed, please type 22. If you have a question, please feel free to unmute and then go ahead and ask a question. Okay, someone said she doesn't understand the relationship. Okay, please, Eki, can you unmute and let me be sure of the areas of concern so that we can clarify it?
Yes, thank you. I don't understand. You have the framework on the left and you have the project governance. I don't understand the relationship in this diagram, how they interrelate between the framework and this the key points under the project governance there. So how does project sponsor relate to project governance? How does it relate to the direction? So how does it relate to the access and design model and these points? I don't understand.
Okay. All right. Thank
the
you
diagram.
So much.
Maybe it's the way the diagram was put together. It's confusing me.
Okay, don't worry. We will try and eliminate the confusion. Now, these people you're seeing here, they are all stakeholders. And like I said, this particular document or this particular guide is for top management to develop. So if you look at the people here, these are the people responsible, or perhaps the basic stakeholders responsible for developing the project governance framework. So their role is, all of them join together. They are responsible for developing the framework.
The project sponsor,
the steering committee, the project management officer, and then the project manager. All of them comes together as the project management team to develop this. Yes.
To now develop the governance framework.
Yes.
Ah, okay. I wasn't understanding. Now I understand.
Okay.
So please go ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
I am so happy that you understood it now.
That made sense now, because I didn't see the relationship before. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. At least let me have a relief. Is there any other person now? Maybe you don't understand the color. Please, the color does not have any role to play in this diagram. Or you don't understand the roof. The roof doesn't have any major role. It just simply telling you that, okay, at the top of this, these are the things comprised under it. Okay, any question else? Any issue of concern? Is there something else you, please feel free to ask. As simple as that question that Eki asked, it could have been a major confusion. Maybe she goes to another workshop and then she will ask the question. I went for a training, they didn't explain it well. And now me again, they are coming with it. Okay. So if you think you have your conviction that I should proceed, please kindly type 22. If you still have your reservations, please feel free to let me know. I'm going to allow for 1 minute. If there are questions, I will take them. If there are reservations, I will take them. Then if you give me permission to proceed, I will go right away. Okay, so now that you've given me the permission to proceed, now I will ask the question, what is the importance of governance framework? I will start with the first person that asked me to go ahead, and I will come to the last person that asked me to go ahead. So, Engineer Demolu, what is or what are the importance of governance structure? Please feel free to unmute and let's hear from you. Engineer Ridwan, you gave us permission to proceed. Okay, please, anyone, what are the importance of governance framework? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, I'm with you, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I would say that it is very important to have governance structure, one, to avoid conflicts, and then in decision or giving order, somehow even the subordinate might be confused who are we to listen to in terms of carrying out order. So it is important to establish governance right from the structure to have a system so that the system can run. Even with new entrants, they will understand the structure and the governance. So importantly, to avoid confusion, to avoid conflict, and then to reduce unnecessary bureaucracy, who are who to handle what. So with governance, it is established.
Thank you so much, Professor Taiwo. Okay, I will ask one question now, and that will help me to allow you think as fast as possible and give me an answer. In one word, what word can you use to replace governance framework? Remove the project, governance framework. In one word, what one word can we use to replace governance framework? What one word can we use to replace governance framework? Maybe if we're able to get that word, it will system or structure. All right, thank you. Thank you. Can someone help us? Now think outside, no, think as though there was no boss. So I will not want you to limit the word to project management, as it were. Just think outside of the box. Think of a word that if you mention it, it will resonate in the mind of everyone, and everybody could say, whoa, that's right. Okay, so we have management, we have leadership. Okay, thank you. I need more. Administration, okay. I need more. That's all the thoughts are wonderful. All the thoughts are wonderful. Can I have two more? If you are to replace governance framework, what one word can you use? Remember, the governance framework provides a guide. on its own is not implementation, but it provides guidance for implementation. On its own is not leadership, but it provides guidance for leadership. On its own is not designing, but it provides guidance for designing. Roadmap. I love that. Roadmap is very close. All of them are very close. And I have just one more. One more. Okay, let me give a master plan. I love that. Thank you. Okay, let me give you a hint. In Nigeria, we've been clamoring for the complete overhauling of one document in government. What is that document? In Nigeria, we've been clamoring for the review of, thank you, Constitution. That is simple. So when we have governance framework, we just have a constitution. A constitution, that's it. Okay, we just have a constitution. Constitution just provides us with the basis for governance, provides us the basis for implementing projects in Nigeria. There is no project in Nigeria that you will not say according to so part of according to provisions of the Nigerian Constitution. You want to nominate or elect anyone, it must be according to the provision. There must be spelled out guidance, rules and regulations towards carrying that out. So now, with this, if you think you understood it better now, type 111. That's 1 into 3 times. If your understanding has not changed from what you understood before, just type just 211. Let me know whether we have better understanding now or. Okay, so we have 3 people that have, 4 people that have better understanding. Some people's understanding now is overflowing. Okay, so with that, I think I can proceed, right? Thank you so much. Now, I've explained so much here. This might not be too clear, but I trust you understand it. The project sponsor in this whole committee, the role of each of these people now in developing this framework, for this project sponsor, his role is to provide strategic direction, a project oversight function that glues together all stakeholders. So he's the project champion, he approved the project charter, he is the business case owner, is accountable throughout the project lifespan of the program, prioritization of the project within the organization. That's the project sponsor, that will be his area of expertise in this structural development, right? Or this governance framework development. Then for the steering committee, the operational direction, their role is advisory board within the governance framework. That's both the steering committee and project management office. They are both on the operational direction. So they have to provide an advisory board within the governance structure accountable for managing and addressing business issues, monitor risk, quality, and project timelines. So you have their own roles there. Determine how the project goals and objectives are measured, approve the project management plan, implementation plan, and matrices, and every other thing that follows there. Then you have the project manager, which is the tactical team. Their own is to execute. Okay, so if you check all of these things together, by the time all these people put head together, they will definitely be able to come up with a good governance framework, such that with or without the presence of the people that develop the framework, any other person that comes in can fit into the project and work with the framework. All right. Okay. I have what we call the project management office, which is now part of the people responsible for developing the framework. So they also have their own office that they work in. What are their major roles? They are responsible for developing the standards, the policies, are responsible for training of the staff, responsible for resource management, are responsible for optimizing our resource processes, right? Now, a project management office is an organizational structure that standardizes the project-related governance processes and facilitates the sharing of resources, methodologies, tools, and techniques. So they are like the approval department for whatsoever thing that happens within the project. They have to check whether what you are requesting for versus what the governance structure is saying is true. If it is right, then they approve. If it is not, they will call your attention back to what the standard is saying. Okay. The responsibility of a PMO can range from providing project management support functions, the direct management of one or more projects. I hope you could still see my screen. Project management office may have the authority to act as an integral stakeholder and a key decision maker throughout the life of each project in order to keep it aligned with the business objectives. The project management office may make recommendations, lead knowledge transfers, terminate projects, and take other actions as required. Please kindly confirm that you can see my screen very well. If you can see my screen very well, please kindly type 22. If you can't, type 00 so that I will quickly reshare. All right, thank you. A primary function of a project management office is to support project managers in a variety of ways, which may include but not limited to managing shared resources. Okay, so we've mentioned this over and over again. Let me proceed to the next one. Now we have the different types of project management office. We have the supportive project management office, as their name implies. They provide consultative role to projects by supplying templates, best practices, training, access to information, and lessons learned from other projects. This type of project management office serves as a project repository. The degree of control provided by PMO is low. The degree of control is low at the supportive level. Now, we have the controlling project management office that provides support and require compliance through various means. So that means this controlling is tighter than supportive. The degree of control provided by the PMO is moderate. Compliance may involve adoption of project management frameworks or methodologies, use of specific templates, forms, and tools, and conformance. Please, this is very, very important. Conformance to governance framework. So they provide tighter supervisory oversight rules. Okay. Now we have the directive. The directive PMOs take control of projects by directly managing the project. Under the control, they might not be the one managing the project, but the directive, they are directly managing the project. Project managers are assigned by a report to the project management officer. Okay, the degree of control provided by the PMO is high. Under the control, the degree of control provided here is moderate. That means the project manager is expected to perform at his work. Then at the same time, the project management office, they are expected to ensure compliance. So the only challenge or the only relationship between the project management team and the project management office here is just the case of compliance. The case of compliance. The relationship between the project management team, the project team, and the project management office at the supportive level is that the supportive level is providing all the necessary support to the project management or to the project team to ensure that their work is done. They are not directing the project, they are not controlling the project, they are not enforcing compliance, but they are providing templates, they are providing guidelines that can ensure compliance. So the project manager's authority at the supportive level is quite high, all right? The project manager's role at the controlling level is 50-50. The project manager's role at the directive level is very low because the project management office, which is now the functional level, they are the ones responsible for the project. Okay. Okay, I think we can proceed. Do we need to go for another break? I think we can quickly proceed. Let me quickly round up. Okay, I will quickly round up this, and then we can go to break at this point. Now, still on governance, we have organizational influences that can affect project. We have the structures, we have the cultures, we have the systems, we have the styles of leadership. All of this can affect project. But there is something I quickly want to bring our attention to. When it comes to organizational structures these days, the structure of organizations are gradually changing, right? And we need to pay attention to this changing trend. I mentioned earlier when we started this course that this is project management foundation, and then at the end of the day, we will proceed and get the associate level, right? But at the foundation level, we possibly give you general information of what project management could look like. I've given us one from the onset that one of the most dynamic fields or one of the most dynamic professions in the world today is the project management profession, okay? Now, project management is challenging virtually everything in management and coming up with better models, better structures, better processes, better systems, better methodologies, procedures, and practices that can deliver results quickly and of more quality too. Now, traditionally, when we talk about structures, this was a typical example of the structures we had. And some organizations still have such structures today. So you have a top management, CEO or MD or what have you, and then you come down to having directors or then come down to having heads, come down to having supervisors, principals, and then till you get down to the least person in the organization. But in recent time, there had been a very big shift from the traditional approaches to what we call the agile approaches. So even in the agile project methodologies, we have the agile structures. Now, I need to mention this so that you understand how this works. First of all, we must be open to develop our mindset. First of all, get to have the agile mindset. And what this means is that you must begin to rethink processes, rethink methodologies, rethink systems, rethink procedures, rethink culture, rethink vision, rethink everything. Rethink it in the light of innovation, creativity, bringing positive disruption to your business, to your industry, to the general economy that could create more value. That's what your attention is. So you're rethinking everything. You're questioning the status quo and you want to come up with something better, right? If you want to do that, the standard traditional structure that is most often filled with bureaucracy and then a whole lot of time delays, and will I say that there's what we call handoffs in project management in the traditional process, right? In the traditional structure, when we talk about handoff simply means the chain of reporting. How does it really go? So in a handoff, I may have to, in my department, if I'm not the head, let's assume I'm the supervisor. So someone if someone in my team has just finished the work, if I'm not around, he has to wait till I'm back. He has to wait till I'm present before he will hand over the report to me. And then I will go through the report. If my head is not around or the manager is not around, I'll have to wait till the manager is around before I will hand over that particular report to him, all right? Those delays in between cause a whole lot of waste. Apart from time waste, they also bring service delays, customer service delays, and then product delivery delays also. But Agile is trying to eliminate those handoffs, all right? Now, instead of working in a system as the traditional structure, the Agile is talking about self-managed teams, self-managed teams. So each team is responsible for producing a result towards the project. Now, in that case, the project manager is seen as a facilitator or as a coordinator rather than the decision maker. Please, I would like you to get this. The project manager is seen as a facilitator or as a coordinator or providing oversight roles to the project rather than the total decision maker. That means if we have a department, let's assume we have a project, and then we have the procurement team. We have procurement team. We have the human resource team. We have which other one? Somebody give me one of the teams. We have the communication team. Okay, now, and other teams. The agile process is saying that the procurement team should have tangible work to be done that does not necessarily require the attention of the project manager to approve the work that they are doing or to approve whatever thing they are doing. So everybody have defined goals and objectives, tangible results to deliver, such that at the end of the day, the system created can actually approve the project or approve the project deliverable, and the project goes on. But the project manager is to provide oversight rules, provide, so his work majorly is now to be like someone who points the people towards the standards, towards the governance framework, rather than sitting to be the one to say, okay, if I'm not there, nothing will happen. No. Okay, if you're still running a structure where if you're not there, nothing happens, or if your head is not there, nothing happens. If your director is not there, nothing happens. If the CEO is not there, nothing happens. That means that is not an agile environment. And let me be very frank with you. You're losing money, you're losing resources, you're losing customers, you're losing reputation, you're losing so many things that shouldn't have been lost. You're losing sustainability, you're losing continuity. Succession is deviating already. Your company is gradually moving to an extinction without you knowing. So all of us have to work towards having agile mindset and then imbibing agile frameworks to our business systems. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I said it long time ago. In 2012, I went to a particular bank. Then it was Diamond Bank. And then I was trying to market project management course to them. Some of them then were heads of their unit. Some of them were already branch office, what they call them, branch managers. Some of them were regional managers and the like. So when they look at me, then I didn't have a car. In fact, I didn't look like somebody they should be looking at. So if there's anybody to talk about professional certification to them, it shouldn't be someone like this. This guy needs job. Okay, according to them, I needed a job. So go and get a job first. And then maybe when you get a job, and then we see the impact of these things you're talking, then we can then reconsider it. It was somehow tough for me to be able to convince them. To some extent, about 2 people decided to give it a try, decided to come to our training day. And I told those marketing people, as of 2015, 2016 now, I was now called in the same office, not in another office. I was now called in the same office to come and do a lecture, an in-house lecture for them. I told them, I said, very soon, there will be a rapid change in the global industry, that those who never expected that they will lose their jobs will lose it. I said it. I knew that some people, it touched them, but they could be wondering, what should I do? Okay. And then in 2018, we started having a whole lot of economic downtimes. First, they started with the regional managers. One of the participants in one of the training then gave me an experience of what happened in the organization then. He said there was a particular time in that particular organization, that particular branch, they were to give them projects for the installation of ATMs. According to the person, he said their branch manager then had an MBA. The regional manager had an MBA. The area manager had an MBA. But none of them was considered to be fit for the supervision of the project, except for one of the young persons that came and attended the project management course and had gotten his certification. And then they gave him that role to monitor and supervise the project. So it somehow sparked some level of envy. But before you could know it, the sacking started. It started with the regional manager. The area manager was a good friend. He was relieved of his work. He wasn't a friend. I just know him. So he used to talk to me. I talked to him. So we sit down and gist. So it's not as though he's my friend. Okay. Then the other one, who was the branch manager, the branch manager was relieved. So in a twinkle of an eye, everything changed. Now, those of them that were in the operations department at that particular branch, which they considered as an area branch then, they had more than 60 people in operations. You know, in a twinkle of an eye, that those 16 people were reduced to more than half. What happened? Revolution. What happened? Change. What happened? Obviously, the organizational mindset started changing. And then I used to tell them something also. I said the introduction of technology in the banking sector and across all the sectors will change a whole lot of things. Now, if you don't have project knowledge, if you don't have project competencies, you will definitely someday lose out. It sounded like a wide statement, but that's true. So many of the people that are being sacked today, relieved of their jobs today, they are people that completely lack or cannot apply their project management skills and competencies. All right. The whole economy will still be challenged by IT-driven approaches to business. And let me tell you something. Whenever you hear us talking about agile approaches, agile transformation, agile structures, agile this or agile that, it was actually introduced to the business system via the IT world. So if you cannot think agility, if you cannot perform agility, if you cannot run agility, you're losing. Okay, you're completely losing. And for the fact that it is technology driven, it will keep changing. The banking industry, whether they like it or not, the adoption of fintech will keep challenging that industry. And I was reading yesterday of banks, most banks beginning to rethink their banking operations to reduce, instead of having gigantic buildings, why don't they have multiple POS facilities where they can have a kiosk, have an umbrella, and do whatever thing they are doing. Now, that is agile thinking, because most POS agents now, they can open bank accounts, virtually all banking activities, they can do it. So why would a bank want to hold maybe have 20 staff in a branch, or maybe 25, when they can have 25 independent people that they are not paying them anything, they are only running by commissions. And the money they are using for the business is not the bank's money, these are individual money. So just think alongside where I'm thinking. These banks are beginning to rethink. So if you're still in the banking industry, begin to also rethink, how are you going to fit in this whole process? Okay, how are you going to fit in this whole process? The most valued financial institution today is a digital institutional firm that doesn't have branches everywhere. So why will a bank want to incur unnecessary overheads when they can actually sell off all their facilities and go and sit down one place and let all the agencies, the agency banking, they go into agency banking, and then every other person can go home. If you're not ready to be an agent, then you go home. If this whole process begins to fall into place, then you will see the full meaning of agile. And then let me also warn. Thank God we have a professor in our midst. Well, we can say that this is government, nothing will change. But I tell you the truth, things will change. There had been a serious challenge, competitive challenge to the traditional educational system by technology-driven systems. I don't think there is any university in the world today that has a great number of students as Udemy or Teachable or MITT, their online platforms. I'm not sure there is any. EDS, I'm not sure there is any. Allison.com, I'm not sure there is any traditional educational system or institution that has competent frameworks that delivers as those guys. I'm not sure. And you know what that means? Whether we believe it or not, it is the customers that still have the absolute right. Do you know what institutions are doing now? They are beginning to partner with these online platforms to deliver BSc programs, HND programs, professional master's programs, MBA programs. What are they trying to do? They are trying to leverage on agile approaches. Everybody wants some rest. You mustn't every now and then you're going to the board writing one of the things, breaking your head, building manuals over and over. Every semester you must build manual. Every semester, no. Things are changing. I was invited to my alma mater some years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was to give a talk. The University Advancement Center, they contacted me, they brought me. I don't know how they went about that, but I just got a mail. They needed me to come. And I went, and I was thinking about these things at that particular program. If you're a lecturer, if you're an educational consultant, if you're into education, know that the value chain had been overridden by technology. Okay, now this program we are having here, right? You're supposed to be in one classroom now, taking this program by fire or force. You just have to come. But the system has changed. It has become agile in nature. It has become agile in nature. It has become agile in nature. I will repeat, it has become agile in nature. So if you decide not to be agile, obviously you'll be lost out. Obviously you will be what? Lost out. I'll finish saying my own. It is not an instruction. It's just an information, but an advisory information. Begin to review your career journey. Are you still sure that the path you're following will land you in the whole change that is taking place in the industry? Your business journey, the process you're taking, the approaches you're taking, are they still the traditional systems, or are you imbibing the recent systems? Are you imbibing the innovative systems that can deliver more results? So these are things we need to rethink, rework, and then get it done. I think I can proceed, right? I will definitely allow you to read up some of these things in your manual when you get them. Now, organizational structures. Now, these are the traditional ones we normally have. You have the functional organizational system, where the functional managers are responsible for the coordination of the project, like we've been saying over and over again. In this particular system, the project manager is accountable to the functional manager. Okay, the project manager is accountable to the functional manager. Then we have the other one of projectized system, where the project manager is the main person. So if there is a functional manager, his activities there, or his role, his authority level below. Okay, so the project manager and his team are absolutely responsible. So the authority or the power level of the project manager is high at the projectized organizational structure. Then you have the matrix structure in a 50-50 structure. Okay, so if you go back to the types of PMO we have, you find that the PMOs somehow support the structures. You have the supportive, where the impact of the, or perhaps not necessarily impact, the authority level of the project management office is not that high, it's just low. Okay, the project management office, the project manager or the project management team, they are responsible for absolute coordination of the project. That's for the project support, a supportive project management office. So we could view that in the light of projectized structures. Then you have the controlling. The controlling is 50-50, which is a sort of matrix. The project manager is up with performance. The functional manager is up with compliance. So there is a 50-50 balance and check approach. Then you have the other one that we call the directive, where the functional management or the project management office, they are absolutely responsible for managing the project, and then the authority level of the project manager in that case becomes low. So in that case, we can make it equivalent to the functional structure or functional organization. So we've repeated these things over and over again, and I believe I can proceed from here. Now, quickly, key general management skills that every project manager should have. We have the leading, communication, negotiation, problem solving, influencing the organization, and all whatnot. Now, by leadership, we mean establishing direction, motivating, inspiring, and aligning people, then communicating, written, oral, listening, speaking, reporting, briefing, negotiating. We negotiate scope, we negotiate cost, we negotiate contract terms, terms and conditions, we negotiate changes to cost, we negotiate time, and all of that. Then problem solving. Problem definition, distinguishing between causes and symptoms, and then decision making. However, things are changing. If we begin to talk about general management skills now expected of a project manager, we cannot talk about it without talking about collaborative skills. We cannot talk about it without talking about IT skills, technical skills. We cannot talk about it without talking about agile skills. We cannot talk about it without talking about innovations and creativity. So we are upping our game. All right. And then we have some socioeconomic environmental forces that influence projects also, which includes things like standards and regulations, internationalization, cultural influences, then socioeconomic environmental sustainability. If projects lack sustainability, sponsors most often don't want to go into it. Okay. Now I think I can comfortably take a break here. And then when we come back, we dive straight into project planning. Okay, and after that, we can decide to call it a day. So what's my time? Do I have any question? Any question for me? I think what we've done so far now is just to recap most of the things we've been saying over and over again. Okay. Any question for me? Any question for me? All right, can we take 10 minutes or 5 minutes break? If you support 10 minutes, type 10 in the chat room. If you support 5 minutes, type 5 in the chat room. If you support 10 minutes, type 10 in the chat room. If you support 5 minutes, type 5 in the chat room. No, 20 minutes is too much, sir. We've already taken more than the first time we took 15 minutes. The second time we took 45 minutes. So we already have 1 hour already. And I know I've been giving 2 minutes, 3 minutes break. So we've taken more than 1 hour already. Okay, so let's take 10 minutes. Let's take 10 minutes. 10 minutes is more. So this is this is 3:27. So 10 minutes, that's 4:37, and we will be back. Please don't go anywhere. Our attention will be focusing more on the application of these whole processes, these process groups, the application of the steps involved in each other. All right. So by the end of this particular session, participants will be able to review project management process groups, appreciate the simplified steps in project planning, and then create simple project plans. That's all we want to do, very simple. So we can run through and do that very quickly. Now, first of all, let me start by asking us simple questions, just review what we've done in time past. So how many process groups do we have in project management? Please feel free to put your answer in the chat room. How many, okay. So someone said 5, 2 people said 5. So can I get another one? How many do we have? How many do we have? Is there little people I have in this class? How many process groups do we have? How many process groups do we have? 2 people said 5. Okay, so the third person said 5. Okay, can we name them? Can we name the 5 process groups? I agree with you, we have 5 process groups. Can we name them? If you want to unmute, please feel free. Unmute. Can we quickly name them?
Yeah. Are you with me?
Yes, we are with you.
Okay. We have the initiation stage, initiation process. We have the planning process, execution process, monitoring and evaluation. Then we have the closure.
All right. Thank you so much. So we have the initiation, the planning, initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, controlling, and closure. All right. So let's quickly go through what we have here. Like I said, initiation, implementation. All right, so someone said initiation, implementation, you jumped one in between. So what we have here is 4. So initiation, planning, initiation 1, planning 2, then implementation, execution, then we have monitor and evaluation, or monitor and control, then closure. All right, so let's quickly move ahead. Now, project processes. A project management process is a series of interrelated actions and activities that are performed to achieve a pre-specified set of products, results, or deliverables. Now we have 49 project management processes according to Project Management 6th edition. Now these processes are categorized into 2. Those processes that are involved in completing the project and those involved in creating the project's product. So some of the processes are concerned with the project management, some are concerned with the product management. Now those concerned with the project management describe, organize, and complete the work of the project. Those concerned with the project specifies and create the project's product, right? Now we have the 5 process groups. We have the initiating, which defines and authorizes the project or a project phase. Then we have the planning process group, which defines and refines objectives and plans, the course of action required to attain the objective and scope. We have the executing process group, which integrates people and resources to carry out the project management plan for the project. Then we have the monitor and control process group. Okay, someone said my screen is not shared. So sorry about that. I think, please, can you see the screen now? Is the screen visible to you? Please, if it is visible, kindly type 11. All right, thank you. So we have the closing, the monitoring and controlling process group measures and monitors progress to identify the correction action can be taken to meet project objectives. Closing process group formalizes acceptance of the product, service, or result, and brings the project or a phase to an orderly end. Okay, so we've just refreshed our minds on this, but more importantly, what we want to do now is to review the steps in each of these process groups, so that we can understand it practically rather than keeping the whole grammar, right? Now, how does this whole thing work? The monitor control is a constant. Monitor control starts from beginning to the end of the project. So we have initiation, from initiation we'll go to planning, plan to execution, execution to closure. However, monitor control runs all through the project, okay? So we can see graphically, what we have here on the overlap of process group is the same thing we have somewhat here, showing the interactions, the interrelationship that exists among these process groups. Now, none of them is independent of each other. They all work together to deliver the expected results, right? Okay, so for the initiation phase, the initiation starts and closes at a point. Then you have planning from the initiation phase down to where the closing begins. In project management, it is believed that as soon as the project planning is completed, the project closure is expected to commence. All right. So as soon as the project is planned, we believe that that project is 80% done. All right. Then we have the master control from beginning to the end. We also have execution from beginning to the end. All right. So this is just an interplay of the relationships that exist among all of these process groups. Now, some of the things that help the interaction make a whole lot of sense. We have the inputs, we have the tools and techniques, and we have the outputs. When we get to level 2, where we'll be dealing with the project management competency domain, the knowledge areas, we'll have a whole lot to talk about tools and techniques. Every competency area has its own processes. Each of the processes have their own inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. Now, by the time we get to level 3, it will help us more in understanding, it will help us in understanding more of these things we'll be saying now. Now, if we had ever jumped level 1 and take you straight to level 2, when we get to talking about input tools and techniques, you'll be lost. But I believe that with the time we've spent and with the knowledge we've built around this foundational knowledge of project management, it will be easy for us to quickly introduce these input tools and techniques and outputs in our coursework when we get to level 2 or the lead level. Now, the inputs are the document or the documentable items that can be acted upon in course of the project. Right? The tools and techniques are the mechanisms applied to the inputs to create outputs. And then the outputs are the document or documentable items that are a result of the process. For instance, in this particular program, we have a process called training or facilitation. In the facilitation for this particular program, now we have inputs. Can someone help us with the inputs we have in the stage of this, in this process called facilitation? Can someone help us? What are the inputs that we are leveraging on in this whole training, this training on the aspect of facilitation? Can someone help us with the inputs? Inputs. Can someone help us with the inputs? Just share your thoughts. What are the things you consider are the inputs, the documents or documentable items that can be acted upon for this particular process of facilitation, for this whole project of CAPM? Okay, someone says lessons, learning materials. Thank you, that's beautiful. Can we get another one? Can we get another one? Can we get another one? Just one more so that I can proceed. What are the inputs to this particular training? The inputs. You have course or program outlines. All right, thank you. So anyone you remember, just put there. But if you look at this categorically, for this facilitation to be of effect, we need the learning materials, well-developed curriculum. So let's say curriculum, well-developed curriculum. And then we need the content. Now we need data. Yes, we need data, very important. We need laptop, or let's say IT tools. Okay, generally IT gadgets and tools, or IT gadgets. Okay. We need an instructor. All right. Now, for the tools and techniques, what do you think Yes, we need human resources. For the tools and techniques, what are those mechanisms you think we can use to now transform this input to deliver results to the end user? The tools and techniques, what do you think? 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 Zoom and Google Classroom, thank you. Zoom platform, all right, thank you. So we need communication tools like Zoom, Google Classroom. Which other one? Which other one? Which other one? Which other one? Give me one more so that I can go on. Okay, assignments. Thank you so much. I love that. Okay, so we have assignment, we have teamwork, we have expert judgment or expert facilitation. Okay, it's several others that comes with it. Now, what are the outputs? What are the expected outputs under the facilitation process? What are the expected outputs? What are the expected outputs? Give me one or two, and then we'll proceed. What are the expected outputs? Okay, someone said issuance of certificate. Thank you. Can someone else give us another one so that I can proceed? What are the expected outputs under facilitation as a process? Are we together? One more. Induction. All right, thank you so much for all of that. But if you look critically at the facilitation process, we don't expect certificate at this point of facilitation. And we don't expect induction at this point. There's another process that will involve issuance of certificate, right? At this point, more of what we want to get is, number one, we want to ensure adequate understanding. Okay, we want to have adequate understanding. We want to have training reports or facilitation reports. We want to have reviews, feedbacks from training so far. Those are the things we want to have at the facilitation. But by the time we get to maybe the process of certification, then we can expect issuance of certificates at the end of the day as part of the output. Yes. Okay, so yes, in this particular facilitation process, we need feedback from participants and all of that. Now, this is just a simple thing we've done. And this is the same way we do it when we come to project processes. All right. Now let's quickly look at the simple steps involved in each of these processes, each of the process groups. Each of the process groups, let's look at the steps involved. Number one, we have project initiation. What are the activities involved in project initiation? Number one, identify a business problem or opportunity. Remember that for any project to fly, it must have business undertone, business objectives surrounding it. Then from the problem identified, you develop a business case. The business case is the verifiable information that the sponsor or the project investor can use to justify if he or she should go ahead with the project or not. So it provides us with a whole lot of why we should go into the project, the sustainable benefits attached to the project. Then from there, we undertake feasibility study. We undertake feasibility study to justify if the business case is worth it or not, if the business case is realistic or not. Then from there, we establish terms of reference, guidelines, governance structure or governance framework. Then from there, we appoint a team. And then from there, we set up a project management office, which could be physical, in a physical location or a virtual collaborative shared network. Then from there, we could perform a phase gate or phase review. I'll repeat this again. It's a simple process. First of all, identify a business problem, opportunity, then develop a business case, which is a justifiable means of information to embark on the project. So it provides us with all evidence-based, maybe not necessarily evidence-based, but it provides us with a whole lot of information on the benefits of the project, the expected outcomes of the project, the sustainability of the project. Tells us. The feasibility is to justify the business case. We go out there in the environment to justify whether this particular project we want to embark on, that we've developed all of these case studies for, are they workable? Most often, we use agile approaches to do this. So you have what we call the Scrum framework. The Scrum framework allows you to integrate your business ideas with the project ideas, and then you are able to pictorize or have a clear picture of what this is all about. So you could have pictures of the business case in forms of imaginary prototypes. Then you can use those imaginary prototypes to conduct your feasibility study. And after you've conducted the feasibility study, if it's a good to go project, then you establish your terms of reference, the governance framework for the project. And then from there, you move on to appointing a project team, setting up your office, and then performing a phase review to know whether you're able to achieve the expected objectives for this particular phase or not. If you have a question at any point, please feel free to stop me. Your mic is, you can open your mic at any time, and then you could make your interjections and ask your questions. All right. Okay, so let me move on to the next one. Mr. Sunday, your network tends to be, your network seems not to be too good. So I recommend you use the chat room. Mr. Sunday, I recommend you use the chat room. Okay, so quickly, we say a business case can represent an optimal means of information used to judge whether the project is and remains desirable and achievable, and therefore worthwhile investing in. In developing a business case, we'll say a detailed definition of the problem or opportunity, an analysis of the potential solution options available for each options, for each option, or the potential benefit, cost, risks, and issues should be documented. The preferred solution is selected and agreed on. The business case is approved by the project sponsor, and then the agreed funding is allocated to proceed with the project. Now, business case key philosophies: it must drive the project. If the business case is not satisfactory, then there is no project. It must be maintained throughout the project. Should justification or the business need disappear during the project, stop the project. Performing feasibility: the purpose of the study is to assess the likelihood that a particular solution option will achieve the benefits outlined in the business case. To investigate whether the forecasted costs are achievable, risks are acceptable, and or any likely issues are avoidable. Note, after the solution has been agreed, funding allocated, and a feasibility study performed, a project is formed. Now, for the terms of reference outlines the vision, the objectives, the scope of the work, the deliverable, the organizational structure, the business case, and as the case may be. The vision, the objective, the scope of work, deliverable, the organizational structure. If you want to go deeper, then you could establish standards on how the project will be designed, establish standards on how the project will be executed, establish standards on how the project will be evaluated, just as what we have in the framework, project governance framework. All right. Now, appointing a project team, once the terms of reference has been produced, the project manager is appointed. He or she documents a detailed job description for each project role and appoints a human resource to each role based on his or her relevant skills and experience. Setting up the project office could be physical or virtual environment within which the project team will be based. A successful project office environment consists of location, which will be physical or virtual, communications like computers, internet, radio, email, telephones. Then you have documentation, forms, registers, templates, methodologies, processes. And they have tools like computers, machines, equipment, satellites, software for accounting, modeling, planning, and so on. And then after that, you perform the phase review to ensure that the project initiation process met up with the project planning process, or whether the project initiation process is completed and then can proceed to the project planning process, right? So now this is where my attention is coming, and I want everybody's attention to be here also. Now, if you need to shake off any kind of dizziness, please feel free, shake it off. If you need to stand up and listen to this part of this lecture, because this is so critical. Okay, this is the important area we all need to come to place. Now, someone said PM sometimes called project manager, sometimes called plan manager. No, it's not plan manager, it's project manager. Okay, so dependent on the context, we can have project management or the project manager, but not plan manager. Okay, all right. Cool. Everybody pay attention. This is where the operation begins. Project planning, a detailed report or a detailed planning to ensure that the activities in the execution phase of the project are properly sequenced, resourced, executed, and controlled. It is a means of defining and refining objectives and selecting the best of the alternative courses of action to attain the objectives that the project was undertaking to address. Note, brainstorming is a very important tool for effective planning. Now, these are the steps or the phases involved in project planning. Number one, create a project plan. Please note, it is not project management plan, but rather project plan. What is the difference between project plan and project management plan? A project plan is a detailed description of all the tasks and activities involved in a project. So it shows you the complete work breakdown structure. It breaks down the project into phases and from phases to tasks, and then helps you to see the relationship that exists within those tasks and phases. That's a project plan. So in essence, a project plan is a tactical plan. A project plan is a tactical plan. Why a project management plan is a document that provides detailed information on the general coordination and management of the project. General coordination and management of the project. Is someone saying something? Okay, so I think I may have to take a proactive process. So I'm going to mute everyone. So if you have a question, I think it's better you raise your hand so that I see you. Okay. All right. Please, if you have a question, just raise your hand so that we can all give you attention. All right. Okay. So I will explain again. I said project plan is the detailed outline of the project tasks. So it gives you all the activities, all the tasks that are to be carried out in a project. A project plan contains the project scope, the project phases, the project tasks. It helps you also to see the relationship that exists among the project activities or the project phases, right? While the project management plan provides you with the overall detail on the project management, on the general coordination and supervision and administration of the project. So why project plan is a tactical plan, the project, what do you call it now? The project management plan is, the project plan is a tactical plan, while the project management plan is an administrative or oversight document, a top-level document to oversee through the project. So someone is asking a question, what time is this class supposed to end? So we are ending today by 5 p.m. Thank you. Now, after that, after creating your project plan, the next thing is to create your resource plan. Your resource plan is simply a plan that contains all the resources, and what those resources will be used for. So if you put it in a way, the resource plan is to make sure that we have all the resources needed to actualize the project plan. So by the time you look at the project plan, you'll be able to now sit down and develop all the resources, okay, in a plan. Then from there, you now have what we call the financial plan. By the time you have your resource plan, it will be easy for you to begin to make financial appropriation for each of the resources. Okay, now if you're following what I'm saying with a picture in view, you could see that you have a table. On the table, you have the first column as tasks. On the second column, you have your resources for the tasks. On the third column, you're possibly going to be having the amount of money you need for each of those resources for each of those tasks. So for tasks that have multiple resources, you are having multiple financial appropriations to them. But the best thing is create your project plan independently first. Then you create your resource plan from using the project plan as an input, and then go ahead and create your financial plan using the project plan and the resource plan as input. And then you now move ahead to create your risk plan. Creating your risk plan, every other part of the plans, all other subsidiary plans, we need to be carefully reviewed so as to identify the risks inside them. Now, what are you doing in your risk plan? You are first of all looking at the project tasks to see if there are risks associated with them, and then you identify them and then come up with impacts of those risks and then mitigation measures for the risks. Now, if there are financial inclusions for the risk, please feel free to also itemize those financial inclusions so that by the time we get to the final budgeting in the financial plan, we would have known what the total expected or forecasted budget will look like, all right? Then from the risk plan, we'll have the quality plan. What are the matrices? Well, first of all, what's the definition of quality? And then what are the matrices to measure quality? Okay, and what will be the cost of quality? We need to know that in the quality plan. And then you create your acceptance plan that's giving us an absolute definition of what the final product will look at, and then giving us the procedure for accepting the product or the project outcome. They have your communication plan. Okay, how will communication be done? All the tasks involved in communication, all the resources involved in communication, and then the strategy involved in communication, let us know. Financial implication of the communication, let us know also. They have your procurement plan. How will the resources be procured, be gotten? You also state that the resources, the procurement strategies, the administration of the procured resources, you also let us know. Then after that, you have your contract suppliers. I think there is a miss here. You have your your contract suppliers. There's contract for all of the agreements that need to be done, and then your suppliers for all of the people that need to supply you the things you need under procurement. And then you have your phase review. You have your phase review. Okay. Let me repeat this again. Project planning, number one, create your project plan, comprehensive and detailed list of all activities and tasks that need to be done, starting from phases through milestones to the tasks. Then creating a resource plan for the project plan, and then creating a financial plan using the project plan and the resource plan as inputs. Then you have the risk plan, then you have quality plan, you have your acceptance plan, and then you have communication plan, and then you have contracts, suppliers, and then you have your phase review. All right. Let me give you 1 minute, or let me give you 30 seconds so that this can, your head can come down small, then we'll proceed. 30 seconds. And in the 30 seconds, if you have a question, please kindly raise your hand and let's pick the questions. If you have a question, kindly raise your hand and then we pick the question. If you have a question, all right, Sunday, kindly unmute and ask your question if your network is stable now. Your network. Mr. Sunday, I'm so sorry. Your network is not stable. The network is not stable, so we could barely hear what you're saying, just cracking. I'm so sorry about that. However, if you put your question in the chat room, I will definitely take it up and give you a good answer. Okay, so this is where we now talk about that proposal you're going to write. This is where we'll talk about. You know, we've spoken so much grammar here now, so much grammar. So let's have a guide to this whole thing. Let's have a guide to this whole thing. Let me get something. Just give me a second. I'm going to